Good morning, guys. July the 1st, 2020. We've made it through half of the year of 2020. And man, have we had a year. And I can't even begin to predict what the rest of the year is going to be like. If you've ever been on, if you this is the first time you've ever been on my channel or watched me, my name is Sheila Texter. This channel is Sheila Texter's one-stop life coaching channel, where every Wednesday and Friday I put out videos, and on Wednesdays I put out videos about my book journey, about my writing. Ever since that I kind of got through with my book, I started reading like a little piece out of it, a little excerpt out of my book on Wednesdays. But on Fridays, I put out a coaching, motivational, inspirational video. I'm a faith-based Christian author. Everything that I bring you from the writing channel to the coaching channel, the videos, is always going to be based through God and from the Word of God, because I am a Christian. And so what I bring to you will be from the Word of God, or in faith, in a faith view. But my book is done. It is published. And this is a proof that I got a few weeks ago. If you've watched my channel the last 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see that I have done, I've got these in. I got like 3 of them in. I gave 2 of them out to beta readers. I kept one so I could read over it. It says not for sale here, because this was like a proof. And sure enough, there was some things that we wanted to change in here, and we did. Not necessarily the content, but some of the way that the pictures were laid out. They were different sizes, and so we tried to bring all those into one size, so the flow through the book would kind of all be the same. But I just want to encourage you today. Really, in a sense, we all have a book in us. We all have a story. Whether you're wanting to put a message out there for the world, or whether you just want to write your story so you could have something to pass on to your children and your grandchildren. I don't know. But my book, it's a legacy thing. It's something that I feel like God put in my spirit several years ago. Actually, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. It's like it was always in me, and always in the back of my mind about I would like to write a book about my story, about my failure, but it's just, we get these conflicting ideals, and we feel resistance from people, from situations. But I'm telling you, this is going to help thousands of people. Thousands. This is going to help thousands of people. This is not about, the mistake is in there, but it's about the message of Jesus Christ and His redemptive power and His restoration, and how He brings things around, and how He will right the wrongs, and how He will bring justification to, to innocent people, really. Even though there is a character in here named Shelley that committed adultery in the church. And even though she is the culprit, even though I've been the culprit, I still was innocent. She was innocent. Because when the devil and the enemy gets his claws in you, you cannot even begin to think straight. Because if you did, you wouldn't do it. And I have to say that, that I feel like sometimes our actions are pushed sometimes through the enemy and his work. But I challenge you today. And you may say, where do I start? Well, you know what? I had no idea. I mean, I'm telling you, I had no idea where to start. I just started. I actually started with something like this right here. I started writing it in a notebook. And then as I began to move forward, I began to read up on stuff. I began to listen to things. Um, I began to connect with other people that had wrote books, that was in the process of writing their books. And they began to introduce me to the Word document, to the Google Docs, to where I could put my book in there. And I tell you, I had no earthly um, knowledge of putting the book together. I just started writing, and when I felt like one chapter ended, I started another chapter. You know, there's no right and wrong way to start writing. Now, once you write a book and you know a few more things, then you can start putting those things in the next book. You can start applying the things that you learned into the next progress or the next project. Like, I didn't even, I hadn't even named most of my chapters. I went back after I got through with the book, pretty much, and named my chapters. I had to read each chapter and kind of pull a title out of that chapter that would go with that particular passage. And even now, I probably could have named the chapters different. I don't know. But I just went with what I felt. So each time, it's just, I am so sorry, guys. My nose is itching off this morning. I don't know what it is, but I guess sinuses and allergies. And I'm not to the place that I'm editing my videos and taking all that out. And this is just me. This is authentic. This is in my office, and I know it's busy behind me, and my lighting probably ain't the best, but I don't always look for those things. I look for what you're bringing me. I look for that content, that content, and I look for your passion, and I look for just you being real, because there's so much fake going on out there now. But I wanted to read. I'm going to read out of my book today, and this part right here is called the Betrayer. Yeah, this is the Betrayer. There's a section right in the middle of my book called From a Different Set of Eyes, and it's got like 4 different views. It has the betrayer's view, the betrayed view, and then it's got the woman that's caught in the very act of adultery, and the Samaritan woman. And it's like I have put like a first person, even though I'm writing it. It's like they're speaking. It's like they're speaking. And so that's, again, a lot of that stuff came from my creative coach, from other authors and other writers that, was trying to help me. So I'm going to read this right quick. But I just challenge you, just start. If you want to write a book, start writing and just go from there. And, I had no idea about word count. There's so many things that I didn't know. But that's okay. Just start writing the book, and you will draw the people to you that you need, and they will help you and help you get it structured and help you get it, put together, so to speak. Now, I mean, I'm not saying just, which now they do say sometimes you just need to do a brain dump. Just get the first draft out there. It's not going to be good. It's going to be ugly, all this kind of stuff. And then, then you start trying to clean it up. Then you start cleaning up what you put out there. But anyway, I want to read this right quick. This is in the part called The Betrayer. And I'm just going to go down and just randomly start reading out of from a paragraph. It was a natural high. I don't know what it's like to do drugs, but the feeling I had in those moments, even before we acted on the temptation, was addictive. When life is stressful, we often look for a place to escape to. a place where reality is altered or distant. We look for a place where lack of money, lack of intimacy, and even lack of purpose become insignificant. Even so, I knew there would be a cost as I was sucked into the deep hole of adultery. It's difficult to think logically when we're at a low point and temptation beckons us with that escape. Perhaps we don't want to think at all. I started to avoid all those in authority in my ministry. I knew my elders knew something was wrong. They just couldn't put their finger on the problem. It was like I lived for the next fix, the next meeting where she would confide in me, trusting me to help her find resolve in God. As I saw her brokenness in those days, I was disgusted at the man who would destroy a lady as special and as fragile as her. But it wasn't my place. It wasn't my place to save her. It wasn't my place to sweep her off her feet. It wasn't my place when she was married. And it wasn't my place after God gave me a family of my own and a responsibility to be a leader and a pillar in our church. Now that's the voice of the betrayer. And I want to read a little disclaimer here. In this section, says the name of this section, A Different Set of Eyes, sums up the next four views: his, hers, the Samaritan woman, and the woman caught in the very act of adultery. One of the greatest examples of perspective is within the pages of God's holy word. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all tell the story of a specific event about Jesus Christ. And we know each one saw things from a different perspective. The next four accounts are fictional. Pay attention. They are fictional retellings of perspectives of those involved in a sin that has taken its toll on many of us. What sin? Adultery. Great liberty was taken with the writings. With the writing, my views are my own, and these accounts do not intend to assume any thoughts or feelings of other parties. These accounts do not intend stand as fact. So, these are just my views. I'm just putting myself kind of in that person's place. Because, in a sense, I can, because I've been the betrayer. And I can put myself in the betrayed view because I've been betrayed before. And, I tell in here, that I am remarried. I am in my second marriage. And my first marriage was rough. And I don't want to say a whole lot about it on YouTube, but all I can say is it doesn't matter what has happened in your life. There is a God that can restore, rebuild, and just rebuild trust in everything, in your relationships. Even if you end up remarrying, God has not forsaken you. Failure is not final. Your callings are still there. God don't remove your gift. God does not remove your gift just because you fall. If He did, look how many people would not be being used of God. Because in the eyes of God, sin is sin. But now, just like I said in my book, though, different sins have different repercussions. You can tell a lie and ask God to forgive you and maybe ask that person to forgive you. But now when you commit something like this, stealing, maybe stealing from the church, a crime, committing adultery, having an affair, you can be forgiven and your life can be restored. But it takes some time and it affects a whole lot of people. So those things are totally different than just telling a lie or stealing a piece of candy from the store. But it's still sin, and God can forgive it either way. I've been on here over 15 minutes. I'm trying to keep my videos between 10 and 15 minutes. I hope y'all have a great weekend. This weekend is the 4th of July, but I will be back Friday morning to bring you a coaching tip from my live coaching from the same channel, Sheila's One Stop. That's why it's called Sheila's One Stop live coaching channel. Because on Wednesdays I put out videos about the book and the book process and the writing journey. And then on Fridays I put out a coaching video, a motivational video from Biblical Principles. Y'all have a great weekend. Subscribe to my channel. Share it. Like it. Comment. Touch base with me if you want to. And ask me anything about my writing journey, and I'll be glad to share it with you. Y'all have a great day and a great weekend. And happy 4th.